This is 2020
Yes.
wool judging for the wool show. This is Rich Jacobson, and you're from
Lee
LeGrand,
Grand, California.
California. And we have a minimum group of people, Claudia Ward, Kathy Hayworth with, and myself, Sue Barraza, with Ann's Web and with the wool show. And we have our scribe, which is your name? Marley. And Haley Rose and her daughter are over on the side here. And we are going to get started. Breed classes are first. First one, class 1 is Cormo, I believe.
Division 2001.
2001, right.
And class 1.
Just a few things before we get started. I wanted to go ahead and thank the staff for re-inviting me back. It's always a pleasure to come to Monterey, my favorite getaway. And at the same time, the staff here has always gone through and put together one of the finest fleece shows that you find on the West Coast. I've had the opportunity to go ahead and judge clear back even to Louisville, Kentucky this last year, the wool shows there. I can honestly say is that I get goosebumps even talking about the Monterey fleece quality. The fleece qualities that we're going to see here today are incredible, and they can go ahead and rival the Pacific Northwest. The quality of fleeces that you'll see here today are ones that you will find very exceptional to go ahead and work with. And so I look forward to the opportunity to go through and sort the fleeces, but at the same time, your opportunity to go ahead and purchase these fleeces and enjoy the true excellence of fiber that you'll have the opportunity to go ahead and have. So again, thank you again for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, and with all of the things that we've had to go through this year, this is only the second fair responsibility I've had. And so I was really looking forward to this, and a number of state fairs have canceled on me. I had 2 major sales to go ahead and do, and so this was again a great opportunity to go ahead and come over to one of my favorite places, and then also be able to go through and sort these fleeces. So go ahead, again, enjoy the opportunity that you'll have to go ahead and take a look at these fleeces. Thank you again.
Thank you.
This is breed division, Cormo. We have 2 fleeces.
Would you enter number that one? And when you get there?
Two beautiful Cormo fleeces to go through and sort through this morning. And again, a fleece that really goes through and brings it to the top is this particular fleece right here. I don't see an entry number on it.
It's probably down the side. The card slipped down.
Okay.
It's this right here.
Okay, E131. Again, a beautiful fleece that has extreme amount of staple length. At the same time, when you have an opportunity to go ahead and handle this fleece, it's extremely clean. You'll find that there's a very distinct crimp to this fleece, very bright white in its appearance, very healthy, very vital fleece that you go through and can really appreciate. The fleece in second, again, is another one that will bring a smile to your face, and that you have an opportunity to go through and take a look at a fleece that, again, is extremely vital, very soft, extremely fine as far as its fiber diameter. Has a little more foreign material within the fleece. And so again, as you go through and scour that down, you're going to have a little less product in the end. But again, when you go through and you look at this fleece, it's very strong, it's healthy, it's soft. It's one that has a tremendous amount of vitality to it as well. And again, this will be our second place in our white Cormo fleeces.
So,
Two.
Rich, what we need is, when you go through each one, the cleanliness of each one and kind of tell us where you think that they are and, because you jump from one to the other.
I
and it's kind of
can't keep
confusing.
up.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
And so you want me to go through and score these?
You don't have to score them.
if you just tell me,
Just tell me if it's fair or, if you think it's really good or
Yeah.
excellent or.
Okay.
so 131?
131 is our class winner, and it's outstanding. You'll find in the case of this one being the high vital clean fleece. It's the heavier fleece. Same time, it happens to have a lot more cleanliness to that fleece. Little longer staple relative to our number 2. Number 2 is probably the only real criticism of it is it's shorter staple, and it happens to go through and have a little more foreign material within that fleece. This is probably a covered fleece, where this one's probably not.
Okay, and there's no weight on these, so we don't know.
I think there is a weight, I think that one was a 7-pound fleece.
Okay.
This one's a 6.6.
Okay, I see,
This
so,
is 7.3 pounds.
So there's a pound difference.
okay.
Okay, so
I'm still at a
the
loss.
weight of the 131 was good.
Or
Yes.
That's not good.
Both were good.
Both were good. And the staple length was good on the, excellent on the.
Excellent
131.
on the class winner 131.
And the uniformity of rank were both good.
Both were excellent.
Okay. The strength was good on most, all of them, look like, because you can always,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Good, just good on all of them, the rest of it?
Class 2 Corey Dale.
Okay.
Cleanliness of Rambler.
I'm not doing it justice. Here you are. You're fine. So the character one is better than the other?
Character on the first one was probably. Which one are we on now, Claudia? Corey Dale, class 2. No, I just think.
Claudia, is this then the number?
That's the entry number.
That'd be the entry number that we're going to
Yeah,
use?
the reason, the people that sent their stuff in by mail didn't get cards made up in time, so we kind of had to.
okay.
They're all,
improvise.
they all have a card.
But it's not,
Okay.
doesn't look like this.
Huh?
They all have a card, but it didn't all look like this.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, you did get
Okay.
They're
it?
all in there.
All right, well, they weren't yesterday, so, okay,
Perfect.
good. There you go.
Well, in our Cordale fleeces, we're going to go ahead and start with entry number 742. 742, again, when we go through and look at fleece quality, extremely soft. And at the same time, when you get a chance to go through and look at this Cordale fleece, you'll find that it has the old style character that you would expect to it. Very bold crimp. At the same time, tremendous amount of density to this fleece, yet soft. And so when you go through and you find it's a very vital fleece, a fleece that has some weight to it, and at the same time very clean, very uniform as far as that fiber diameter as well. So this will be our class winner, 742. We'll come back with, again, another very close placing within the two. You'll find if you're wanting something that is a little stronger, tighter crimp, you're going to find that this fleece will be one that you would probably prefer. You would find it to go ahead and be very, very tight, very uniform in that fleece. A lot of density to this fleece, a little more foreign material relative to our class winner. But again, another real nice fleece, and this would be entry number 132. Again, another high quality Cordale fleece, and again, two really nice fleeces to go ahead and compete in our Cordale division.
Can you just read off for me what you think on the categories are on that shirt?
The cleanliness, weight, stable length, and
As far as, and again, how do you want that? You want that as excellent, good, very good?
fair.
Fair, okay.
Yeah, just-
Well, we're going to go through and we have excellent as far as going through in the cleanliness of our class winner. We'll find in the weight is that it's very good. Staple length is excellent. Uniformity of crimp is very good. Strength is excellent. Character of the fleece is excellent. Has a lot of luster and brilliance, so again, I think that we're on the very good on that. Color is very good, very nice bright white. In our second place, we'll find in the case of cleanliness that we happen to be good about that. Weight is excellent. Staple length is excellent. Uniformity of crimp is very good. Strength is very good. Character of the fleece is excellent. Luster is good. And the color is very good. Four beautiful fleeces to go ahead and work through the merino division. Obviously, as those of you that might be purchasing your fiber will be going through and looking for whatever color that you'd like in our merino division. You have options here to go through and work with. The fleece that really brings a lot of great things to me is this white fleece that we're going to go ahead and start with, and that'll be entry number 805. 805 is a white fleece. Again, if you're looking at a fleece that has a tremendous amount of density and character, these would go through and rank in the excellent division. When we go through and we look at our scorecard, you're going to find in the case of cleanliness, it happens to be the cleanest fleece of the four. Weight-wise, it's going to have a tremendous amount of weight. There's a lot of density to this fleece. Staple length, the longest in the four that we have in this particular division of the merino. Uniformity of crimp, incredible. When we go through and we look at this fleece relative to the others, you can find a number of spots within this fleece, and they all remain extremely uniform. Beautiful fleece to go ahead and handle, extremely soft. You'll find that's also excellent as far as its strength. Again, a sheet that this came off of has a tremendous amount of character, would end up ranking also in the excellent range. Obviously, tremendous amount of luster to it. This would be, again, another excellent fleece. Color is outstanding, which would be in the excellent as well. This is the easy class winner to go through and start with in our merino. I think, again, it's kind of interesting to go back and take a look at the other fleeces. And fleece that I started with in evaluating the four happens to go ahead and be this fleece here. And this dark fleece then comes to the top. This class coming into our second position, and this happens to be entry number 965. 965, tremendous amount of length. When we go through and we think of cleanliness, it ranks in the excellent range. You'll find that it's extremely clean. It's not a real heavy fleece, but at the same time, you'll go through and you'll find the weight being good, and so that it has an ample amount of weight to it. It's going to be extremely clean. So you'll find that your cleanliness of the fleece is excellent. You'll find at the same time staple length is very good. Uniformity of crimp through the entire fleece is very good. And you'll find that the character of the fleece is excellent. Very soft to the touch, has a lot of vitality to it, very strong fiber. You'll find in the case of this with luster and has a tremendous amount of cleanliness. It's going to be definitely a good fleece to go ahead and start with. Excellent color. Beautiful color to go through and work with in this one as well. You'll have some grays and some darker fleece parts within this fleece. Really a nice fleece to go ahead and work with. That'll be our second place. We find in the case of coming into our third place, we're going to come back with this white fleece as our third place, 6.5 pounds. I'm assuming this is entry number 806. You'll find that, again, tremendous amount of staple length to this fleece, extremely fine. You'll find in the case of cleanliness, it's one of those real nice clean fleeces that it ranks in the excellent range. It's very good as far as weight. Staple length is excellent. You'll find as far as the uniformity of crimp and style is excellent. That it goes through and has a tremendous amount of character to it as well. Strength of the fiber, it's been a really good healthy sheep that it came off of, and you'll find that it was well fed as well. Very nice fleece that has a tremendous amount of character to it. Beautiful white fleece to go through and work with. That would be in the very good range. Very nice fleece, third. Entry number 966 will be our fourth place individual. You'll find in the case of this particular fleece, it is one that happens to go through and be probably average as far as cleanliness. We're probably not looking at a covered fleece when the sheep were, this was probably out there in the range. You'll find also in the case of its weight, it's a lot smaller fleece that you're not going to have to deal with a whole lot of pounds here on this one. You'll find the staple length is probably the biggest criticism of this particular fleece. When we go through and we compare the other fleeces, we're looking at a little maybe shorter day of age on between shearings on this one. But we do find some things that we really like about it. So when we go through and look at the uniformity of crimp and fiber diameter, you're going to find this is going to be one of those that's also good. Just happens to be a lot shorter in its overall. You find character is excellent. Very uniform as far as that. It's going to be on the very good as well, or on the excellent side of that. And the color is excellent as well. This will be our fourth place. Two really outstanding Rambouillet fleeces, and again, a person would have to go through and determine what exactly they like as far as fleece quality, as far as spinning. Personally, when it comes to going through and evaluating the fleece itself, I find that entry 376 comes to the top of the class for me. When we go through and we have the opportunity to go through and take a look at this fleece throughout, you'll find that it has extreme cleanliness about its fleece. You'll find that it also has acceptable or probably average weight to it. You'll find that the staple length is a tad longer. It's excellent. And so that you have an excellence of that staple length for our finds. At the same time, when we go through and look at uniformity, this is where I find this fleece to go through and have a lot more excellence to it as well. You'll find that the fiber diameter and the fiber crimp and that character to that fleece is throughout this fleece, and that it happens to go through and have the same kind of appearance and strength and character to it from one side of the fleece to the other. Really a beautiful fleece in that way, character. Lots of luster and brilliance here. Again, excellent when it comes to luster and brilliance. Bright white, giving it in that excellent range as far as our Rambouillet as well. So this will be our class winner. That was, again, entry 376 in the Rambouillet division. Second place will go to entry number 694.
Huh?
377. 377.
Oh, is there, excuse me, 377. Thank you very much. There's a number of cards in here. Second in our Rambouillet division, we'll go to entry number 377. Again, a beautiful Rambouillet fleece that goes through and has, I would say, average cleanliness to it. It has excellent weight. You'll find when you go through and you have your staple length, it's a little more average. At the same time, when you go through and you look at it, is that it happens to go through and be about 2.25 inches long. And so that gives you kind of an idea as far as that staple length. At the same time, when you go through and look at the uniformity of crimp, little more openness from one location to another as far as that crimp. You don't find it as tight and as uniform as you saw in our class winner. But at the same time, if I could go ahead and use a very good, it would definitely be very good. But at the same time, not quite the excellence that we saw in our class winner. You find in the case of it going through and being strong and healthy, it's definitely excellent in that way. And at the same time, not quite the luster that we saw in the case of our class winner today, but an outstanding fleece in its own right. Color is also very good. And again, excellent fleece to work with in our Rambouillet division. That was entry 377.
Our next class is Romney. It is class number 7, and we have a lot of them.
I have the class number 6.
We just did this.
Entry number 133 will be our class winner today. And again, as it turns out, exceptional set of Rambouillet fleeces, again, from top to bottom. You'd have Romney, excuse me. Did I say Rambouillet?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's from the last class. When we go through and we look at the Romney fleeces, typically you're always looking at a longer staple, tremendous amount of character in these fleeces, and you're going to find that each of these fleeces are very acceptable as far as the Romney wool characteristics. We find in the case of entry number 133, extremely clean. We'll find this ranks in the excellent range. You'll find that as far as cleanliness of this fleece, it is one of the things that really brings it to the top of the class. The other thing that you're going to find in the case of this fleece that you really appreciate is the amount of staple length. And when we go through it and we have the opportunity to go through and look at this fleece, you're going to find a fleece that goes through and has close to 4.5 inches worth of length, almost 5 plus. You'll find an extremely springy, a lot of life to this fleece. You'll find that it has extremely uniformity that brings it to the top of this class that we really appreciate. So staple length and weight you'll find that are definitely excellent. Uniformity of crimp and character is excellent as well on this fleece. We've also talked about the strength of this fleece being very vital and healthy, being an excellent fleece. Tremendous amount of character. It's going to be in the excellent range as well. Luster, I think, is very good, to the good range. Color definitely is good as well. So again, nice fleece to go ahead and start with in this class. It was kind of the exceptional fleece that went through and brought itself to the top. You then end up going through and finding that in the case of entry 954 will end up being our second place fleece. We go through and we look at it as far as the cleanliness of this fleece. Extremely clean. You find that it's also one that has really nice character to that fleece as well. The weight is excellent. You'll find that staple length is very good, very acceptable within the Romney breed. You'll find that it's very uniform as far as its fiber diameter from one side of the fleece to the next. Extremely strong. A lot of typical Romney character that you would go ahead and expect to see in this particular fleece. It's good as far as its luster and good in as far as its color.
Before you go on, which one was the second place?
This is second.
Oh, that's second.
This is second. I haven't got to third yet.
Oh, okay, good.
Then when we get down into our third place, we end up going through, it goes to entry 962. You find in the case of this particular fleece is that it happens to be average as far as cleanliness. It happens to be one that goes through and is on the average side as far as its weight. Staple length, not quite the staple length that we saw in the previous two entries. This was probably one of the reasons that we find this fleece coming into our third position. At the same time, when we go through and look at the uniformity of crimp, we find that it's not as bold as what we see in our top two class winners. A little flatter as far as its crimp design. At the same time, it's very strong, it's very healthy as far as fleece. A little bit yellower as far as its color, and so it's going to be more average as far as its color. We don't find it quite as vital as the others, but at the same time, really soft, very nice fleece to go ahead and work with. This will be our third place.
No,
Fourth place, excuse me. That was third, wasn't it?
Yep, it's on the side.
did I repeat? Oh, it's
Yeah.
already in here.
Okay. Getting confused. I need more shows that I can really pick this up. Oh. Then we go through and we found in the case of the other fleeces, and again, this was a smaller fleece. When we go through and we look at some of the other fleeces that we had an opportunity to go through and work with, another fleece that came through on my number 4 position was entry 961. 961 again happens to go through and be a beautiful fleece that goes through and has a lot of cleanliness to it. It's going to have a high scour ability. At the same time, it would end up being an excellent in that range. You find that it is of average weight, so it's going to be good as far as its weight. Staple length, this is one of the top 3 when it comes to staple length. You're going to find this being that this is in number 4 position. So she was excellent as far as that staple length. Very uniform as far as its crimp and design. At the same time, very strong, very healthy fleece that happens to be on the very good range. At the same time, the character of the fleece was excellent and has good luster and color to it as well. Again, this was really nice fleece. Entry number 961 that was real close into that 3rd, 4th position. This one's already got a 4th place ribbon.
Oh, okay. I am going to speed this up.
No. You're doing great. I think this is where, again, when you get down into your 5th place here, you're going through and you're looking at, again, entry number 953 is going to be in our 5th place. When we go through and we look at cleanliness, it's excellent. And again, the breeders should be really commended from top to bottom in this class for having nice, clean fleeces that are going to have high scourability. They're going to be really good in that way. I think you find in the case of weight, it's average. It's going to be, probably in that range. It would be considered as average. Staple length was good. We find that it would be a little bit shorter in comparison to our top 3 staple length getters in this particular class. So we find that, again, a little bit shorter type of fleece for the Romney. But at the same time, real strong as far as character. You go through and you find that this one's very vital and will end up being in the excellent range. Character of the fleece, you'll find that it goes through and is a little flatter in its design. So if you happen to go through and be wanting a real bold crimp, this would be more average. And so you're not going to find that boldness of crimp in a typical Romney as you see in this one. Luster is good, and at the same time, color is good on this one as well. So this would be our 5th place. I think, again, when you go through and you start getting into our 6th and 7th place, it's going to be a personal preference. Again, you can go through and you can find a fleece that's a little bit heavier, got a little more staple length in it, and that's going to go to our entry number 744. And this particular Romney is going to go through and end up having average cleanliness to it. The weight is good, and you'll find in the case of staple length, it's going to be pretty average. And so it's just going to be good in the case of that overall staple length. Extremely uniform from one side of the fleece to the other as far as its fleece character and uniformity of fiber. You'll find that it's very strong, very healthy, vital type of fleece. On the excellent side of that, been well fed, no stresses in its life. You'll find in the case of, again, the character of the fleece is going to be average. It's going to be on the good side, not quite the boldness of the crimp that we would like to see. Has average luster, and at the same time, color is good. That would be entry number 744. And that was 6th place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 7. So
We just finished 6th.
Yeah.
6th, correct. 7th place goes through and will end up being this particular fleece when it comes to our Romneys. Again, when we go through and we look at the cleanliness of this fleece, it's excellent.
Which one is it?
And I'm trying to find the card here. I'll get that card number. So that'd be entry number 141. Extremely clean. This is not a covered fleece. You find in the case of this, it's going to be an all-natural fleece that's been out seeing elements. You find very little foreign material within this fleece. The one thing that you do find is that the weight is smaller, is that there's not a lot of weight to this fleece. So if you're looking at only having some amount of fleece to go ahead and work with, it's going to be one of those that will probably be a lot of fun to work with because you still have excellent staple length. At the same time, there's a lot of uniformity to this fleece as far as fiber diameter as well as character. And so you'll find that you'll like that. It's very strong, it's very healthy, end up going through and being in the average range there as well. Character of the fleece, like I mentioned earlier, has a tremendous amount of character to it as well. Good as far as luster and brilliance to that. And so as it turns out, and the color is also good.
So it's a ewe
Yep.
yearling, and this
And
one's a
not
lamb.
blanketed. To even
Right.
put that in there.
And this one's a lamb.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a yearling and a blood one.
We're going to finish out our Romney division which I guess I understand this one to be a lamb, is that there's some information in here, and I'm going to have to pull up that card. Got a couple layers bag here. This will be entry 142. Entry number 142 is a lamb fleece. And you'll find that, again, probably the biggest disadvantage to this fleece is that it's going to be a short staple. And so you'll find as far as cleanliness, it's good, is that it's a good clean fleece, doesn't have a whole lot of extra foreign material within that fleece. You'll find as far as weight, it is on the lighter side of things, so it's going to be good. Staple length is going to also be good in that for its age group, it's probably very acceptable. One thing that you will really like as far as this is the uniformity of crimp through this fleece, and it's excellent. As you go through it and you look at this fleece, from one side of the fleece to the other, is that it's extremely uniform. And so that it happens to go through and have excellence in that way. It's just that you're going to be dealing with a lot shorter staple length as far as that fleece to go through. Strong, healthy, it's excellent as far as that strength. Luster, it's going to be on the average side. I think that there is a lot of brightness to this fleece and some shine and pop to it, but it's going to still end up being in the average range in comparison to what we saw in some of the previous fleeces, and color is excellent. And this could be the buy of the sale, so don't pass this one over. You know, if you're going through and you're looking at a light amount of fleece and at the same time some of the character that happens to go along with this, it is a soft fiber to go through and work with, and so again, don't underestimate this fleece.
A lot of spinners have small fleeces.
Yes.
3 pounds on that. Good start.
Our next category is Romaldale CBM, Ram or you?
Two beautiful fleeces to go ahead and work with in our Romaldale CVM division, and again, both are very high quality, and when you have an opportunity to go ahead and sort the quality of these two fleeces, it's a true pleasure. Today we're going to start with entry number 603, be our colored class winner that'll end up winning the class. Today, again, when we go through and we look at cleanliness of both these fleeces, they're both excellent. And so we don't find a problem there. It wins based on a tremendous amount of weight in that 12-month clip. You'll find that it's extremely bold as far as its crimp and those kind of things. You find as far as staple length, it's a winner here. And so it's going to be excellent as far as that characteristic. You find in the case of going through and looking at uniformity of crimp, it's a distinct advantage. When we go through and we look at uniformity of fiber diameter from one side of this fleece to the other, that it happens to go through and have a tremendous amount of uniformity in there, it's excellent as well in that area. Strength is excellent. You find as far as the character of the fleece, it's very good. Luster, it's a very vital fleece. You'll find that again has a tremendous amount of look to that fleece and handle that fleece. I'm going to go through and say that it's excellent as far as its luster. And the color is very, very interesting. I'm sure a lot of spinners would like to go ahead and get up close and take a look at some of this color. It's going to be a beautiful slate color to go through and work with a little influence of a little bit of a light white almost in that fleece. So it's again really a beautiful fleece to go ahead and start with today. Our second place winner is no slouch. We find in the case of our white Rommeldale, again, this would be entry number 602, is a really beautiful fleece to go through and work with. We find in the case of cleanliness, it's excellent. You find when you go through and you have the opportunity to go through and look at this fleece, very little foreign material that you're going to find in this particular fleece. The weight is on the average side, so it's going to be good. So sometimes that's a good thing as far as being able to go ahead and purchase a fleece at a little less cost to you, is that you'll find that, again, these fleeces are a little bit lighter in relationship. Probably the biggest concern that I had as far as in this particular fleece happened to deal with staple length. And again, I don't want to be too overly critical, but we do go through and have some varying lengths of staple length in this sample. And again, maybe it was just because of where I happened to go through and be looking for, is that we had a little bit of shorter fleece, a little bit of longer fleece. I know that they probably left that second cut on the fleece, but again, there's going to be something that you're going to have to deal with. So it's going to be on the average side as far as that particular fleece, is that you've got a varying lengths dealing with that staple. You find as far as uniformity of fiber diameter, it's outstanding. This is where this fleece is one of those that does bring it with an extreme amount of quality on that top end. You find that the fiber diameter is very uniform from one side to the other. It's very strong, it's very vital, so it happens to be on the good range. And as far as that strength, character of the fleece is outstanding. Luster is good, and at the same time, the color is very good. Real nice fleece to go ahead and make.
Our next class is, how could you possibly not be? Yes, Jacob.
They can usually figure those out. I had told Sue a little story yesterday about my Jacob experience in the show ring. Wasn't so good for me. Still in the Supreme Drive, but no big belt buckle at California State Fair for me. It happened to go through, the Jacob happened to go through and win that particular day. Ohio judge was evaluating the sheep, and afterwards I had to concur that the fleece quality of that Jacob buck was outstanding. Is this the tag right here? Oh, there it is. It was hiding from me. In our Jacob division, entry 505 comes to the top of this class relatively easy. You find in the case of cleanliness of this fleece is outstanding. You'll find that at the same time, the weight of the fleece is average. So again, you're not dealing with a whole lot of weight when it comes to this particular fleece, but at the same time, very acceptable for the Jacob breed as well. Staple length is outstanding. You'll see in the case of staple length that you've got quite a bit of staple length to go through and work with, that you're going through and looking at almost 3 inches of staple length when you're dealing with this particular fleece itself. Uniformity of crimp is good. Probably if I wanted to go ahead and be a little critical, I'd like to see a little more boldness to that crimp, but at the same time it's very acceptable for the Jacob. You'll find in the case of strength it's very healthy and very vital, hasn't had any stress within its life,
Oh, it's rowdy.
and so you find that it works out extremely well. Character of the fleece is good, luster excellent, and the color is excellent as well. Again, nice variegated fleece for those of you that are spinners out there. Have something fun to go ahead and play with. This will be our class winner as well. Entry number 504 will be our second place Jacob. You find in the case of cleanliness, it was outstanding. You'll find in the weight that it's on the good side. It is a lighter fleece to go through and work with. Staple length is probably the biggest criticism of this fleece, is that it happens to go through and be relatively short as far as that fleece. And as you can kind of visualize, what you have here is a lot shorter type of staple length to go through and work with. One thing that it does go through and bring is that there's a lot more uniformity of crimp in this particular fleece, which goes through and is excellent. As far as uniformity of fleece, you'll find the case of its strength is good. You'll find the case of its luster, very healthy fleece, one that goes through and has a tremendous amount of softness to it as well. And the color is outstanding. Congratulations.
Okay, and the last,
In our Shetland division, we have two really nice fleeces to go through and sort today. And again, the white fleece has a tendency to go ahead and rise to the top. And I think, again, relatively easy. So if you were to go through and look at strictly fleece quality relative to color, I think, again, that you go through and you find that this individual number, entry number 950, goes through and comes to the top of the class. It is the real clean fleece to go through and work with. You find that, again, it happens to go through and be excellent as far as its cleanliness. At the same time, weight is average as far as when it comes to Shetlands. You'll find that at the same time, staple length is truly excellent. And that's where, again, has a huge advantage over the colored fleece, happens to be in that staple length. You also find, as far as uniformity of crimp and style, it's excellent. And again, that's one of the huge advantages that it has over the colored fleece as well. As far as going through and being strong and healthy and vital, it's going to be excellent as well. You find that the character of the fleece is excellent and that you see a nice crimp in that fleece. It's and at the same time doesn't have too many flat spots within that fleece. You'll find that it's got a lot of health to it, so it's excellent as far as luster, and the color is good. That'll be our class winner. Entry 951 will be our second place winner. You find in the case of this particular fleece is that it has a tendency to, first off, it is excellent as far as its cleanliness. You'll find in the case of the weight, it's average. And at the same time, staple length is probably more on the average side. You'll find in the case of this here, it's a little flatter as far as its character in its fleece. And so, again, the uniformity of crimp is going to go through and be average. Strength is excellent. And at the same time, luster. You find that, I think that, again, nice healthy fleece to go through and work with. Soft, very pliable, and the color is, again, excellent. Really nice fleece to go ahead and work with in our Shetlands.
okey-dokey. Now we're going to move on to market class, and we have three entries.
Entry 952 will be a class winner in our 3/8 blood. You'll find in the case of this particular fleece, it's good as far as its cleanliness. We find that there's just a couple spots that there is some foreign material within that. It's not a big deal. And so just to go ahead, and you're not going to find a whole lot of trash in this fleece, but there is some. Find as far as the weight of this fleece, it's a relatively lightweight fleece. about 3 pounds that we're dealing with in this fleece. You'll find as far as staple length, it's excellent. He goes through and brings a lot of staple length to it. It's a little more uniform as far as the crimp itself goes through, and it's going to be on the average side, but extremely uniform. Strength is strong, and so it's going to be excellent as far as its vitalness, as far as strength of that fiber. And at the same time, character of the fleece is going to be good. Is that we find that it's acceptable within its market class. Luster is real strong. It's an excellent as far as its health and vitality to this fleece, and color-wise, it's excellent as well. Really nice fleece to go ahead and work with in
So we
that
would give
56
that
to
a first,
58.
maybe.
It's a first.
Okay. Here, and
2 excellent fleeces to go through and sort in this particular class. And when we go through and we look at our low quarter blood class, 2 really close decisions right here. I think, again, person could go through and say, they like this particular fleece for one reason, or they could go ahead and like this particular fleece for another. And I would agree with them. I think that there's a lot of give and take within these 2, but are true outstanding fleeces to go through and sort with. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with entry number 955 as our class winner today. And again, when we go through and we look at this particular fleece, it's extremely clean, as both fleeces are. So we have extremely clean fleece here. Weight's excellent. You'll find the staple length is excellent in this particular fleece. I think, again, when it comes to the uniformity of crimp, this is where this fleece is the more extreme uniform fleece from front to rear and top to bottom in this fleece. Strength is outstanding. Character of fleece is excellent, and it's extremely lustrous. Very soft, very vital fleece. Person would have a good time going through and handling this fleece. And then it's soft, it's pliable, it's got a tremendous amount of health to it, and at the same time, color is outstanding. You're going to find through the scouring process, it's going to come out extremely bright to that fleece color when it all comes down to it. I think there's probably about close to a 7-pound fleece when it comes to our class winner today. You'll find in the case of our second place, again, I've got to find the card, it happens to go to entry 956. Cleanliness, again, as I had mentioned before, excellent. Weight is on the excellent side as well, probably right at 7 pounds when it comes to fleece on this one. You'll find in the case the staple length is also excellent. In comparison, we find that I think that's what made these 2 fleeces exceptional to go ahead and work with. I think the biggest thing is when you go through and you look at uniformity of crimp. And again, if you want a real bold crimp, as you see in the case of this one, you're going to find that it goes through and has a lot of character to it. We find that it has a tendency to get a little flatter and a little tighter in some other locations in that fleece. I think that was the big difference that I saw there. So I saw this as a good, when it comes to going through and looking at the uniformity of crimp. Strong, healthy fiber. You're going to find that it's going to be good in that way. Character of the fleece is excellent, and so we don't find any problems there. It's, again, personal preference on what a person as a buyer would be looking for as far as that kind of character as well. Tremendous amount of luster and brilliance to this fleece. It's a real strong, healthy fleece. At the same time, color-wise, is excellent. Congratulations.
Okay, that is it for market division. So now we're moving on to Division 2003, natural colored wool. And our first class is fine combing.
Those of you that happen to be viewing via our transmission, be it Skype or whatever we're dealing with as far as a platform, you're missing out by not being here. Because again, when it comes to fleeces of quality and character and I think extreme quality and color, you kind of miss out. And so, as it turns out, if you have an opportunity to go through and take my word for it, I think you go through and you have 3 fleeces that come out in this particular class, if you're into the natural colors, that you could be really happy with my decision making for you. And I think there's 3 really outstanding fleeces to go through and work with that I find that as you go through it and we're looking at the other fleeces, they were all really, really good. But this is one of those classes that's pretty tasty. And when you go through and you think about the quality that you're dealing with. The class winner today is entry number 807. And when we go through it, we look at this particular fleece. It's extremely clean. It's one of those that has very good weight to it. You're looking at probably right under 5 pounds as far as this fleece. When you go through and you have the opportunity to go ahead and look at staple length, you'll find in the case of a beautiful fleece from one side to the other that you're looking at a little better than probably 2 1/4 inches in overall staple length. Outstanding as far as its uniformity of crimp from one part of that fleece to the other. Again, another outstanding thing that you really appreciate. Strength and vitality to this fleece is uncanny. Again, real excellent when it comes to going through and evaluating this fleece. The character is exactly what you would expect out of a Rambouillet type of fleece. That it has a nice tight crimp to it. You'll find that it's again very much as far as the fiber diameter that you would expect. Color, happens to go through as far as luster, very soft, very nice fleece to go through and work with. And then of course color, this happens to go through and be probably a personal preference, but you find the case in this Morit color you're going to be extremely happy with as well. I think it has a real luxurious type of color to it. This would also be in the excellent range as well. Beautiful fleece to go through and sort. We find that when we go through and look at the other 2 fleeces that are in contention, like I said, this is kind of like a tremendous amount of quality that's being exhibited in this particular breed class. We're going to go back and we're going to use the black fleece to go through and be our second place fleece. That'll be entry number 378. When you have an opportunity to go through and you look at this fleece, good heavy fleece to go through and work with, probably right in the average, I don't know, probably 5.5, maybe 6 pounds, and that goes along with this. Extremely clean fleece. You won't find really any foreign material within this fleece. Very uniform as far as its staple length and weight. Again, excellent as far as cleanliness, excellent as far as weight, staple length, excellent. You'll find as far as uniformity of crimp that you happen to be in the good range. I think that there was a couple spots that I went through and I checked slight difference, and again, not a whole lot of difference, but there was some subtle difference as far as crimp. You'll find as far as strength, not going to get any stronger than this. Nice, strong, healthy, excellent as far as its strength. Character of the fleece is good, and you'll find a case of luster, very soft, very healthy fleece. and at the same time, color again, tremendous amount of uniformity of that color as far as being a black all the way through that particular, and so it's going to be also an excellent. That would be on entry 378 is our second place. Our this one goes right here.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that.
Okay. And so as it turns out, yeah, going to make sure that we got those right. So anyway, as it turns out, entry 379 will be our third place in a very close decision in that particular division. Again, real nice set of fleeces that we went through and we dealt with in this class. We find in the case of cleanliness, again, excellent. As far as cleanliness in this fleece, we find that the weight is very good, so I'm going to say that it's also excellent, probably in the 6-pound range. As far as that fleece, you'll find in the case of staple length, maybe on the good side. This is where this fleece faltered just a little bit in comparison to the fleeces that went first and second today. Still very acceptable as far as fleece length for a 12-month clip. We'd be extremely happy with that one as well. Uniformity as far as crimp and we find that the character is extremely good from one side of the fleece to the other, and it ends up going through and having a tremendous amount of strength. It happens to be a vital fleece, so it's again good as far as its strength. Character fleece, excellent. Luster, as I had mentioned before, this is kind of an all-star group. We thought that, again, real healthy, very vital, very soft fiber to go through and work with, and the color, extremely interesting. And again, I know in filming this, it's hard to go through and pick up, some of the color in this, but you've got some hues of different colors that come into this one that really gives it an interesting opportunity for you to go ahead and purchase. So again, really nice fleece in our third position. What a great set of fleeces to go through and sort. And again, probably sort pretty handy for me when we go through and start our natural coloreds, half-bloods here. We're going through and looking at some differences as far as colors and in quality, I think, that you can go through and sort through. Our entry number 380 will be our class winner today. Morit fleece that goes through and has extreme cleanliness to the fleece. I mean, you find that that's excellent as far as its fleece character, or as far as quality, dealing with cleanliness. Weight on this fleece, probably right in the 4-pound range, maybe 5. It goes through and has an ample amount of weight to it. At the same time, it's the staple length winner when it comes to the overall staple length. You find as far as uniformity of crimp and style, it sells itself. When you go through and you have an opportunity to go ahead and look at a nice bold crimp that you have in this particular fleece, it goes through and is excellent as well. Strength of the fleece is an excellent. Then it goes through and is very vital in its health, and at the same time you find that the luster has a lot of shine and pop to it. It's a fleece that goes through and is extremely nice in that way. Color, exceptional. Again, outstanding when we go through and we look at that particular fleece. Beautiful fleece to go ahead and work with. Again, entry 380, Morit color. Beautiful fleece all the way through. You find in the case of entry number 381 will be our second place. It's a black fleece. When we go through and we look at cleanliness of this fleece, also excellent. Person has really gone through and done an excellent job in presenting and preparing this fleece for exhibition. You find that the shearing of this sheep, very good. You find there's no shorts No second cuts in this particular fleece that I see right on the surface of our entry bag here. You find the staple length is good, and at the same time the uniformity of fiber and crimp is excellent. And at the same time, strength, we talk about again health and vitality of this fleece going through and being excellent as well. You'll find that in case of its character is good, excellent, it's very good. And at the same time, luster, excellent, color, excellent. Beautiful fleece to go through and sort with. And again, if you're in the market for a dark fleece to go ahead and work with, tremendous amount of uniformity of color and softness in that particular fleece. We come back in entry number 971 will be our third place. When we find in the case of cleanliness of this fleece, it's outstanding, it's excellent, so it rates high as far as cleanliness. The weight was probably a little more on the average side, probably right around 4 pounds. I don't know if there's anything listed on this one. But again, you go through it in about 4 pounds, a little lighter than the previous two entries in this particular class. Uniformity of crimp, it's a little flatter. And so if you happen to go through and are looking for something that's going to be real easy to go ahead and work with, it's probably a little bit on the flatter side as far as that crimp design. But it is uniform, and so you find that I would say it's probably more on the average side of that as far as the uniformity of crimp. Very strong, so it's going to be healthy and it's strong. You're going to find that's excellent when it comes to strength. Character of the fleece, go through and we look at that as a good, and we find that it's excellent as far as luster, and the color is excellent. Really nice fleece. Just a little softer, a little bit lighter to go ahead and work with. Then we have an interesting colored fleece to go through and work on entry number 604 to go ahead and finish out our class. Really nice color to this, very clean when it comes to go through and looking at the amount of foreign material that happens to go through and be in this particular fleece. You'll find as far as weight, it's going to be on the lighter side of things. I'm guessing in the area right around 3.5 pounds to go ahead and work with on this one. You'll find staple length, it's a lot shorter. And so that's going to be the big difference that you're going to see in comparison to the other fleeces that we saw, a lot shorter as far as its overall staple length. But at the same time, the uniformity of that crimp is excellent. And so you compare it throughout the fleece, it is outstanding. It's excellent in that way, and so that you'll find that that's good. It's good, strong, healthy fleece. So again, it's good as far as the strength of that fleece. Character of the fleece is good. Luster is good, and I think that the color, I think, gives it it's excellent. And again, probably could be really interesting for those of you spinners that are looking in particular for color. At the same time, a nice, soft, healthy fleece to work with. It just happens to be a little bit shorter in its overall staple length relative to the rest of the class that you have today. Real nice class, though.
Okay, our next class is Division 2003, Class 4, quarter blood.
Plus 3. But 2-3.
This will be class number 3. Class winner will be entry number 972. When we go through and we look at cleanliness of both these fleeces, and again, they're excellent when it comes to cleanliness. You'll find in the case of maybe a little bit lighter weight fleece, again, sometimes this happens to be something that a person is concerned with. When I see the quality that we have in this particular fleece, it doesn't bother me near as much. And so you find that it's probably average in weight, but when we come through and we look at staple length, is that it's outstanding, and we find that the uniformity of crimp, outstanding. I think these are the two things that go through and make this an extremely good fleece to go through and sort. You find that its strength and vitality is excellent. You find in the case of the character of the fleece, again, this is where this one shines over our second place winner. Extreme uniformity as far as crimp development and uniformity from one side of that fleece to the other. Very vital, lustrous fleece. At the same time, beautiful color to go through and work with. Again, I think this happens to be a beautiful presentation of a fleece as well. Again, congratulations to this exhibitor doing an excellent job coming off a really nice sheet. Second place kind of goes through and kind of falls into second hole pretty handily. And again, I want to go ahead and commend the exhibitor for going through and offering display of the variation of color that is in this particular fleece. So again, those of you that are watching via the live feed or tape version, you can see that there's some nice presentation and marketability of this particular fleece. This happens to be entry number 605. So if you wanted to go through and mark that on your buyer's list of entry 605, you'll find that it happens to be extremely clean fleece. It's on the excellent when it comes to cleanliness. Weight, I think it goes through, and this is going to be one of your heavier fleeces, probably in maybe almost 7 pound range. 9.5. Boy, see, you're going to find that you got plenty of fleece to go ahead and work with. So again, 9.5 pounds. So again, that's going to be on the bigger side of things. You'll find staple length is really good, and so it's going to be good on that side. We do have some variation of length in that particular fleece. The uniformity of crimp, it's good. And we talked about the other fleece having a little more crimp and uniformity of that fleece, and that's why we find this one primarily in second place. Strength is excellent. We find that the character of the fleece is good, and it happens to be a strong, healthy fleece. Shows a lot of luster and brilliance to that fleece. At the same time, color is extremely interesting. So again, those of you that are looking for something that's got a little pop and a little bit of character, this could be that fleece for you as well. Again, really nice fleece that sits in second place.
The other two are behind it.
I was told a long time ago, when you have something that really impresses you, don't try to go ahead and find a fault. And I'll tell you is that sometimes when you go through and try to overthink a lot of things, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. And this is one of those that don't think too long, because really this is going to be an extremely interesting fleece to go through and work with. Our class winner is going to be entry number 963. A real clean, very vital fleece, a sheep that goes through and has a lot of excellence to that fleece. You'll find in the case of this one, I see it's marked about 9 pounds of fleece to go ahead and work with, so you're going to find weight is excellent. Staple length, excellent. You'll find that as far as the uniformity of crimp for what it is, it's excellent. So when you go through and you look at some of these quarter bloods, you go through and you find that they're going to go through and end up going through and be a little flatter in their overall crimp design. Real strong, healthy fleece to go through and work with. At the same time, character is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's excellent. And you'll find that as far as its health and vitality, luster, you find that it's, again, excellent. And you'll find it's in a very interesting color that, again, has a little bit of a variant to it, so that you have an opportunity to go ahead and work with some different colors within that same particular fleece. Beautiful fleece, very soft, very nice to go through and work with. Beautifully presented fleece as well. And again, congratulations on our class winner today. Second place fleece is again one of those fleeces that again you're not too disappointed with. I think again when you go through and you first look at it, you say, okay, I'm very happy with this one. Could end up being a contender. I think it just got beat by something that might be a little more exceptional. When it comes to cleanliness, again, few little leaves in here, and again, I've been picking out a couple of them along the way. It's not a big deal, but I'm going to say that still we're on the average side as far as cleanliness to this particular fleece. Weight is excellent, and so you can find that. Staple length, a little bit more average. When we are to go ahead and compare to the previous, we're going to say that it's going to be on the good range for what we have in this particular class. Real strong, vital fleece to work with, so it's excellent when it comes to that strength. Character of the fleece, a little bit flatter as far as its design. We can find that there's a little more variation within that fleece as far as its character, and so it's going to be good in that way. Luster, nice, strong, healthy fleece that goes along through, and it's not a real heavy lanolin fleece, but at the same time, real soft, very vital fleece. And again, color probably gives this a little pop. You go through and you find it to go ahead and be excellent as far as color. Again, those of you that are viewing this, you can see that there's going to be a little bit of variation to this fleece, so that you have an opportunity to go ahead and pick out a color that you particularly like. So again, nice fleece. I'll be the first to admit, tough class. When you go through and you look at number one, variations of what we have in this particular class, it's probably been the most difficult of all the individual classes that we've had to go through and work with. And again, some have had a lot more numbers, but could go ahead and help sort this particular class. There's two fleeces that are extremely soft in this fleece, or in this particular division, and I think that's going to be the big contender here with me today is softness of fiber, vitality of the fiber, at the same time the uniformity of the fiber that kind of brings it to the top. And again, I think that again those are things that when it comes to fleeces that you have to go ahead and contend with, at the same time find that those are high quality things that go through and bring it to the top. My class winner is going to go ahead and be entry number 957. You find in the case of a beautiful quarter blood, looks like a Romney type fleece. When we go through and we look at this particular fleece that we find as far as cleanliness, it's excellent. Weight probably is going to be in the excellent range. Staple length, it's the second longest staple length in the class. You find that again, the big thing is uniformity of fleece, of crimp, from one side of the fleece to the other. Extremely good about that, and so it's again excellent. You find the character is matching to what it's supposed to be, and you find luster and brilliance. You can see the pop and interest of this particular fleece that it has to go ahead and offer in this class as well. It's excellent. Color is good. And again, I think that's, at first when I went through and was evaluating this fleece, it was like, okay, that's nice. Then it was like, okay, oh, it is really nice. And so it gave me an opportunity to go through and find a place to maybe go through and start. Fleece that again doesn't catch your eye immediately, but when you go through and you handle it, is this fleece, and that's going to be entry number 958. When you go through and you evaluate this fleece, it is super soft. It is just a super soft fleece. You'll find in the case it's a shorter length, but when it comes to cleanliness, it's excellent. Weight is going to be good. Staple length, probably just good. And again, I think that again you'd like to maybe see a little more staple length that goes along with this one based on its grade, but we find that the uniformity of crimp is excellent on this one. You find strength is really good, and I think again characteristics of the fleece, it is a super soft, very vital, lustrous fleece, it goes through, and I think it's going to be really interesting to go ahead and work with. It's going to go through and have excellence there. Color is really good as well, so that's going to be on the good side of color. So that'll be our second place. Probably the fleece that caused me the most, and I'll call it headache, happens to go through and be the fleece that we have here sitting in third. That'll be entry number 144. When we go through and we look at cleanliness, it's excellent. You find the weight is good. Staple length, excellent. I mean, if you want staple length to go through and work with, obviously you've got 6+ inches of staple length to go through and work with in this particular fleece, which again I think works to its advantage. You find as far as the uniformity of crimp, I think there's some flatness to this fleece in some locations, some boldness in others. I think that's where it gives up just a little bit as far as, and that's so makes him more in the good range as far as that uniformity of crimp. Real nice, strong, healthy fleece. So again, strength is excellent. You find the character of the fleece. We talked about that being that he has a little more variation to that crimp. And so he's good. And at the same time, I think that you find he's healthy, strong, soft fleece to go with. Excellent as far as luster. And again, I think color could end up being one of those that you could say is on the good to excellent if you're wanting something that has a little more variation to that color. So again, I think I would call it good. He's going to be third. So again, nice fleece to go through and work with there. I think again, when it comes down to fourth and fifth, again, you have to go through and kind of have some gives and takes here. You find in the case of this fleece right here, which will be entry number 964, a fleece that is a heavy lanolin fleece. So those of you that are wondering what's going on with this fleece, it definitely has a lot of lanolin about it. But what's really interesting, nice braid that's associated with this particular fleece. We find as far as weight, it's going to be on the lighter side of the fleeces that we have in this division. Staple length is excellent. Again, you can go through and you can see a little bit of the character and length that's associated with this fleece. The uniformity of the crimp is outstanding. So again, if you're looking for something that has a little more of a braid to it, I think again you'd probably be pretty happy with what you have right here. And at the same time, as far as its character, it's fitting to that, so it's going to be good. You'll find as far as luster and health, it definitely is all about that. And so a good, strong wool fiber that's associated with that. It's relatively soft for the fiber diameter, and at the same time, color outstanding. So again, interesting fleece. It is a heavy lanolin fleece to go through and work with. So you're going to know you're going to have a little scouring to do in that one. You find in the case of our fifth place, again, real nice fleece. Again, when it comes to color and cleanliness, you go through and find that it's outstanding as far as its cleanliness. Weight's average, so it's on the good side. I think it's a heavily skirted fleece that goes through and doesn't have a whole lot of belly wool in it. At the same time, the uniformity of crimp is outstanding. Probably the one thing that you go through and would like to see as far as staple length, it's short. So again, I'm going to put it below average. I'd like to see a little more staple length for the grade that it is. I'd like to see, at least 4 inches, in this particular one to go through and be in the right range on that one. Character of the fleece is good. You'll find as far as luster and health of this fleece, it's excellent. And again, beautiful color, so it's going to be excellent as well. So again, you go through it and you look at what you're interested in purchasing. This is a beautiful fleece. It just happens to be a lot shorter as far as fiber length and staple length, so that you have that as an understanding what you're working with on this one. But a really pretty fleece to work with.
think that's all.
I think that's it. Beautiful class to go through and sort, and again, it goes through and the breeders of these sheep, are to be commended on some extreme quality of fleeces, and again, presentation amazing, but at the same time, we find two fleeces that are incredible. And I think that's, again, when you go through and you look at some richness of color and brightness of whites, and I think, again, that becomes the sorting differences. Again, if you want to call it drama or a dramatic difference, that's what brings it to me in this particular class, because I think fleece qualities are similar. And so I think that's a piece of the puzzle that goes through and has to be inherited into your decision making. Find in the case of entry number 973 will be our class winner on our variegated finds. And again, when we go through and we look at the fleece quality that's relative to this, you'll find that the cleanliness is outstanding. You'll find the weight is outstanding. Staple length, this is a slight advantage on this particular fleece that goes along with this particular fleece. The uniformity of crimp, from color to color, and as far as even fiber diameter from color to color, sometimes you'll see some differences. This is about as good as you're going to get it. Super soft fleece, again, excellent when it comes to strength. Very vital sheep that this came off of. Very healthy, very strong fiber. That's excellent. Character of the fleece is excellent. You'll find as far as luster, excellent. And at the same time, color is excellent. I think that's the one thing that we talked about in the beginning, is maybe a little more drama associated with this particular fleece, and that the brightness of brights and the redness of reds, and is that you go through and you find that there's a distinct difference that's along with that. So again, congratulations to the breeder of that particular fleece. Entry number 809 will be in our second place position. I can go through and I can tell you a lot of great things that are also associated with this. Probably a little higher percentage of white fleece in relationship to the morid color. So you find that there is a little bit that goes along with that. And so sometimes, that's a personal decision when it comes to you as a buyer, that you're going to want to go through and consider that. We find as far as cleanliness, it's excellent. You find in the case of weight, again, another great fleece that goes through and has a high weight to it as well. It's excellent. Staple length, excellent. You find the uniformity of crimp, and again, in comparison of dark to light, going through and finding different spots within the fleece, it's excellent. You find the case of fleece health and strength, it's excellent. So again, one of those fleeces that, again, hard to go through and be too critical of. I think you find the character of the fleece extremely uniform. When you go through and you look around that fleece as far as its character and crimp, you'll find that you're going to be really happy with that. And at the same time, strong, lustrous, healthy fleece, lots of pliability with this fleece. It's one of those that's going to be one that's going to be fun to work with. And at the same time, color, probably the only thing that maybe is a little more average, because again, we don't have the distinct drama that was associated with the other one in such a good way. So again, beautiful fleece to work with as well. I'm sure this one could be a high contender in a lot of different locales.
Okay, our next class is Division 2003, Class 7, half blood, I believe. Yes, half blood, variegated.
Is there supposed to be more?
No.
Oh, okay.
383, 3, and 974.
I'm missing 974.
So we just use one of the little half sheets.
Oh, yeah.
We're missing a sheet, 974.
This one.
Okay. Entry 383 will be our class winner. Beautiful fleece. When you have an opportunity to go through and get up close on this fleece, it just has that pop to it. I mean, number one, beautifully presented, but obviously a sheep that had a tremendous amount of vitality and health relative to it. You find as far as cleanliness, it's a clean, nice fleece to go through and work with. Weight-wise, it's got to be one of the top 2 contenders in this particular class. It's excellent. You find that in the case of staple length, very acceptable. You're going to find a high spinning count on this one. Real dense fleece that goes through and has lots of fiber per square inch in this one. The uniformity of crimp, outstanding throughout this fleece. Again, it's just like a fruit bowl of all the same kind of fruit. You go through in just different colors. And you go through and it's a beautiful fleece that goes through and has a tremendous amount of character, quality from one end to the other. You find in the case of its strength, it's a vital, healthy fleece. It has a lot of spring and pop to that fleece. At the same time, it's not a dry fleece. It has a lot of flexibility and viability to it. Luster, it's excellent. It's a real bright fleece. It's healthy. It's just a soft, nice, tight fleece to go through and work with. And the color, I think, is amazing. So again, excellent across the board on all those. I think, again, person that really needs to see this fleece up in person, you find that it kind of shows itself off as an excellent
Almost looks
fleece.
blue.
It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous fleece. I think, again, where it comes in to be a little bit closer as far as between second and third place, again, 2 gorgeous fleeces. When you go through and you look at the color variations, you have more of a bold color variation versus a more subtle variation. I think, again, when you go through and you're looking at and comparing fleeces, they are different. And so those of you that are buying at distance probably should know a little bit about the difference of fiber and shape of what you've got in each of these fleeces. And again, it is a smaller sample than this, but to find this is a little bit coarser fleece relative to this fleece. So if you're wanting something coarser, easier to work with, this would probably be that possibility. So again, color combinations play into things as far as you as buyers. When it comes to going through and looking at fleece quality, I personally went with entry number 974 in second. And again, when we go through and we look at a lot of things about this fleece, extremely clean, it's bright, it's vital, real nice fleece to go through and work with. You go through and you look at weight, it's going to be excellent. You'll find the staple length is excellent. It does have a slight advantage over our third place fleece in that it does have a little more staple length, so it's excellent in that way. Uniformity of that crimp, it's excellent. So again, be it if you're going to go ahead and compare black to our white, you're going to find that it's going to be similar as far as crimp and the way that it's put together. It looks the same. So you go through and are going to be happy with the quality of that. It's excellent as far as uniformity. Nice, strong, healthy fleece. It's going to be good in that way. I think that it's going to be nice and strong, healthy. Probably even push it towards the excellent on that one. If I had a very good, I would definitely put it in that possibility. Character of the fleece, excellent. As far as luster, obviously we talked about it being bright and healthy. It's going to be a vital, healthy one. It's going to be excellent, and the color is excellent.
Okay.
So this will be second. In the case of our third place, happens to go to entry number 382. And again, we talked about if you're wanting subtle changes of color within the grays, this is going to probably be that fleece. It's beautiful, almost like looking at some of your silky rabbits. You know, you go through and you can have a lot of different type of gray, subtle variations. It's really soft. And so when you go through and you look at cleanliness, it happens to be excellent. You find as far as weight, it's going to be excellent. Staple length, good. Okay, because again, it's just a little bit shorter as far as its overall staple length to go through and work with. The uniformity of crimp is excellent. The strength is strong, so it's going to be on the good side of that. You'll find character of the fleece is excellent. Luster, excellent. And I think, again, color gives it another pop of excellence as well. So again, beautiful fleece. And again, you know, many times it comes to personal preference. I'm going to tell you, super soft fleece, and you know, that can be very comfortable worn close to the face.
Our next class is Class 8, Division 2003, 3/8 split. Variegated.
Class number 8, class winner goes to entry 385. Again, beautiful variegated fleece. Again, when we base it on grade of fleece and what kind of things that we're looking for in fiber diameter, some of the character that goes along with that. I think this one kind of brings it to that plateau of what I'm looking for. You find that in the case of cleanliness, it's again an excellent fleece. Again, the exhibitors throughout the day today have done an outstanding job of making sure that fleeces were of high caliber, clean fleeces, that people weren't buying a lot of trash that had to be removed out of these fleeces. So again, it's excellent as far as cleanliness. I think that the weight goes through and it's probably, you know, in the acceptable range. This fleece is slightly more open about its fleece, which would be more typical of what you would expect in your 3/8 blood, that it would end up having a little more of an open fleece as well. Staple length is outstanding. So again, we go through and we can kind of model some of that, both in more of the extremes that we see in the color, as well as in the case of the character of those fleeces. Nice crimp development that's associated with that. And so staple length and crimp, both excellent. Find the strength is really good. You find in the case of the health of this fleece, that you go through and you find no breaks, no concerns with that as well. In the case of character, we talked briefly about, you know, what we would expect on that, and it's excellent. Nice, strong, lustrous fleece. You happen to get a chance to go ahead and view it up close. Lots of shininess and pop to this fleece. Beautiful as far as its color. Again, it's going to be very good as far as the color variation as well on it as well. close decision on our second place. And again, I think again it's again another beautiful presentation. Entry number 384 comes in our second place in our 3/8 variegated. Again, beautiful fleece to go through and work with. Very soft fleece. And again, when you go through and you have an opportunity to go through and handle this fleece, we find that maybe in the case of going through and its overall weight, it's going to be excellent, that it's going to be heavy on that side. Staple length, I'd like to go ahead and see it as good. I'd like to see it a little bit longer. Same thing when it comes to the uniformity of crimp. It's uniform. I'd like to see it maybe a little more open crimp on this one. And so when we go through and get to character of fleece, I've got it more as real average. So I'd like to go ahead and see it to be a little more open, a little bit coarser type of wave to that fleece relative to the fleece that we have. Good, strong, healthy fleece, full of luster and brilliance. Like that. I like that there's, I'd like to see maybe a little more color variation, you know, within that fleece. But at the same time, I mean, it's an excellent fleece. We're going to go ahead and be good on the color on that one. But a very high quality fleece as well. Entry number 387 on our quarter blood combings will end up being our class winner. When we go through it and we have an opportunity to go through it and looking at this particular class, again, this would be class 9. Beautiful fleece, again, go through and we look at the healthiness and vitality of this fleece, the pop that it has to the visual eye, as well as going through and touching this fleece. It's one of those fleeces that brings back a lot of your sensory to it. I mean, it's beside just your eyes, and when you go through and you look at this fleece, it goes through and offers a tremendous amount of quality. Obviously a high quality, clean fleece that's excellent when it comes to cleanliness. We find in the case of its weight, it's going to be very exceptional as far as its, there's a lot of density to this fleece, and at the same time, I mean, it's going to be a high weighing fleece. You find in the case of staple length, it's one of 2 long stapled fleeces that you go through, and you have the opportunity to go through and sort through in this particular class. And so it's going to be excellent there. Uniformity of crimp, excellent. That it goes through and it's be one of those things that really gives it a sound advantage over some of the others in this particular class. It is definitely a strong, healthy fleece. It's excellent in that way. Character of the fleece, again, excellent. So when you go through and you look at it in relative comparison to the others, is that you're going to see all this uniformity of fiber waviness as far as this crimp, going through and seeing that is uniform from color to color, at the same time from one side of the fleece to the other, being very acceptable and being on that excellent side. Tremendous amount of luster to this fleece, very healthy, very soft. You find in the case of it being one of those real pliable fiber fleeces that go along with that excellent color. So again, my class winner, pretty handy on this one. I think again it comes down to then a close middle pair if you were to go ahead and compare the two. Personally, I went through and I reached out on this one. Again, happens to go through and be entry number 506. It happens to be one of those fleeces that go through and has it's a real clean fleece. Weight's going to be on the lighter side, so it could be very affordable in that way. At the same time, what we find in the staple length, it's going to be good. Okay, it's not excellent. It's going to be on the good side. It's not a real long fibered fleece, and so again, if a person was looking at in this particular class, this is where you could go ahead and disagree with me and say that, gee, it should be a little bit longer for the class. And again, and I would be accepting of that. And so you find there's other things that you really like about it as far as the uniformity of crimp is excellent. You find as far as strength of fiber was excellent. As far as character of fleece, it's good. Okay, I'm not going to say that it's excellent. I'd like to see maybe a little more openness to that crimp to go ahead and be a little more competitive in that way. At the same time, very lustrous. So it's excellent as far as its health. You find in the case of going through and looking at color, it's got a pop of excellence that I really like. And so it's going to go ahead and be excellent in that way.
And this is what place?
How about cleanliness?
Cleanliness, it was excellent.
What place?
This would have been second. We then go through and it close between the second and third. Again, this was a kind of a close decision. And again, like I said before, is that a person could go ahead and disagree with me, and I would be acceptable on that. I think that there's some things that you go through and you can like and dislike. This happens to go ahead and be on entry 386. This happens to go ahead and be excellent as far as its cleanliness of that fleece. You find that the weight is going to be acceptable on the good side, and you'll find when it comes to going through in staple length, it's excellent. So this is again one of the advantages or grants that I would have to have of this fleece over my second place, is that we have a little more staple length. That would again would be understanding of that as well. You find as far as uniformity of crimp, this is where I had a little bit of variation in relative to the other one. We have some real tight crimps, and then we have some more of a waviness, more openness to the fleece. And again, so there's just a little bit of more variation in that fleece as far as its character. And so it's on the good range of that one as well. You find in the case of strength, it's definitely excellent. Didn't have any problem there as far as it. Character of the fleece, we talked about that, wanting to go ahead and see that a little bit better, so it's good. We find that it has plenty of luster and brilliance. It's excellent in that way. And color, I think again, a person could go through and really like this one. We're going to put it on the excellent range. My fourth place individual goes to 504. 507. Maybe I'm dyslexic or something here. I don't know. So anyway, as it turns out, I find in the case of this particular fleece, it is definitely a clean fleece. Light, it is a light fleece. So again, if you're looking at doing something on the smaller range, probably 2 to 3 pounds of fleece in this one. You'll find in the case of this one here, it also is a little shorter staple length. When you go through and evaluate that, a little more openness to that fleece. You're not going to find quite the density of fiber diameter. It's a little more open, probably a little bit easier for many beginning spinners to go ahead and work with, is that it's not going to be dense and real hard to go ahead and work with. You'll find in the case of its strength, it's excellent. We talked about health of these sheep, and again, the quality of what the exhibitors have done as far as making sure to bring nice clean fleeces. They're to be commended, and again, this is again an excellent version of the health that's associated with that. We find as far as character of the fleece, maybe it's just a little more common to me as far as the character of that fleece. It's going to be in the good range. Definitely nice, strong, healthy, lustrous fleece to work with. It's going to be in the good range as well. We think the color is also good.
Oh, what did you say about the uniformity of crimp? I'm sorry.
Uniformity of crimp would have been a good crimp.
And clean?
And the cleanliness would be good.
This doesn't have any money associated with the fourth place. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
okay.
up to 3.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Is that it?
Last one.
card there.
Class
Okay, this is class 10, this is our last class, Division 2003, variegated low quarter blood.
Take that one. See if we can pose it there for the camera, right? Sort of. As it falls onto the floor. I'm getting better with this. I mean, I think that I kind of changed it. It's like, I think I'm going to make sure we can pose these fleeces a little better.
To our video cameraman.
Yes,
He's doing an excellent job,
you'll be an expert
as
on
long as it's running. Sometimes you have classes that go through and make it pretty easy for a guy, and if you can't get it right, got to be half blind or something. And again, when we go through and we look at this particular class right here, this is our class winner, number 960. So 960 is kind of the class of the class, if you want to call it that, is we find that this particular fleece has a tremendous amount of quality from one end to the other. We go through and we really evaluate this. This is a fleece that could be taken to another level. And not that, again, this fair is pretty dang good. And I'll tell you, it brings back a lot of great memories of high quality fleeces. This, again, for its class, I think that it goes through and offers a tremendous amount of quality. We find in the case of entry number 960 is that its cleanliness is excellent. We don't have a problem with cleanliness in this fleece. The weight is very much in the range that you would expect that this fleece would end up going through and having. And so it's excellent. Staple length, excellent. And again, when we go through and we have a chance to go ahead and evaluate this fleece, it also has a uniformity of crimp is excellent. And that's one of the things that brings this fleece into contention, and more than contention, kind of blows away the competition, is that uniformity of fiber character. And so really nice fleece. We really like and appreciate the crimp that this fleece has. It's in the excellent range. We find that uniformity is excellent. Strength of fiber, you're not going to get them much stronger and healthier than this one. It's going to be excellent. The character of the fleece, again, very similar to the uniformity of crimp, that it fits the division that it's supposed to be in. It's excellent. You find that, again, a nice, lustrous, healthy, vital fleece. It's excellent. And you find it's got a real interesting color about it. I think that, again, it's going to be one of those fleeces that any spinner would go through and appreciate the high caliber that it has offering today. Our second place is going to go through to entry number 959. Again, another real nice fleece. It doesn't have near the pop. And so many times you find in showmanship, when it happens to be judging livestock or junior kids, you know, there's going to be certain kids that are going to have this pop. And what it is, it happens to be many times things that people don't want to hear. But I'm going to tell you is that they have a fresh haircut, or they happen to go through and be dressed nice. They happen to go through and they have this professionalism. And again, I think there's differences when it comes to these fleeces as well, is that this doesn't have that excitement to it. And so nothing wrong with the fleece, it's not too exciting to me as an evaluator. And so when we go through and we look at it, it just kind of, to me, is blah. Whereas I go through and I look at this one, it's got some color and pop and some excitement to it, as well as all the healthy, vital things that we talked about as well. But our second place fleece, again, when we go through and we look at cleanliness, it's excellent. Where again, I continue to go ahead and congratulate all of our exhibitors for doing an outstanding job of presenting their fleeces. And again, they deserve the pat on the back on that one, because again, they're excellent. We find in the case of weight, it's going to be an acceptable fleece, not quite the weight that we see in this other fleece. I think that maybe that they are comparable, but it is a little lighter, more open fleece, not quite the density of fiber diameter that we see in our class winner. Staple length is very acceptable. It's going to be on the good range. We find the uniformity of crimp happens to be, again, good in relationship to our class winner today. So it happens to not have quite the excellence that we see in our class winner, but again, could have a very good if that was an option for us today. We find strength, it's very strong, healthy, vital fleece, no issues as far as any feed or stress related kind of things that could be related to an unhealthy fleece. So it's going to be excellent. It definitely is probably on the average side of luster and brilliance. It's going to be on the good side. And again, color, I think, gives it an advantage. It's excellent. So, again, really nice fleeces to go ahead and sort through. That was, again, entry 959. First, I'd like to go ahead and congratulate each of the exhibitors that have gone through and made the commitment to go through, and again, it's a year-long commitment to go through and make sure that these fleeces are in the quality that they are. It's a 365-day-a-year commitment in making sure that the nutrition stays the same or relatively same so that they don't have stress related in their in the growth of these fleeces, and at the same time that the health of these sheep are kept in a vital situation. And again, congratulations, and again, my appreciation to each of the exhibitors for doing a fantastic job of going through and presenting some real high quality fleeces. And again, as maybe one that would go through and would hope that you would think about possibly sending some of these fleeces on to Louisville this fall. Last year I had the opportunity to go through and sort those fleeces back there. I'm going to tell you that these are highly competitive fleeces. And I'm going to tell you is that they can do as well as anybody. It's a distance thing to go through and get them there. And if you need a contact person, I do know the person have her personal phone number to go through and call her to make sure that entries and everything can happen. If you need transportation, that's an option also with me, which I would haul them for free. Is that because I am going that way with livestock, and so it could be an option for you if you're interested in not wanting to send them via the Postal Service or UPS or FedEx, whatever your choice is, that you have an option out there. Because again, these are high caliber, high quality fleeces, and if you have more at home, feel free to reach out. Now, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me, on our website at Jacobson Ranch, so you could go through and you can get a hold of me if you don't have my contact information. What a real pleasure. And again, when we go through and we look from all the class winners that are being presented out here today, I am in awe. And I thought that I had been in awe in other scenarios, in other situations that maybe happened to be, a bigger scenario. But the fleece qualities you guys have brought to me today are exceptional. And your entrepreneurship of going through and raising a fantastic product, you're to be commended, with a couple pats on your back, because again, you've done a fantastic job. As I had gone through and mentioned in previous judgings, I do like sheep that have character to their fleeces. And so again, sometimes it happens to be the fines, the ultra fines. I also like the Romneys and Cordales and things that have a little bit of character or a little bit of pop to their fleece characteristics. And without saying a whole lot more, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to name our grand champion fleece. is going to be this fleece right here. I think this is a Cormo, okay?
You're just champion breed.
And so our champion, you know, of our breed is going to go ahead and be this guy right here. We're going to come back and
What number is it?
131.
What was it?
And then we're looking at, again,
131?
another super soft, super ultra fine, beautiful fleece is going to go ahead. Our reserve's going to be on 805.
One comment is that when you enter a fleece in the Monterey County Fair, it has to be available for sale.
Okay.
So, however, this year being such a bizarre one, we have no idea how the sales are going to go. And so your option that you've offered for any places that don't get sold might be an alternative.
Perfect.
Okay.
In our market division, champion, again, maybe this happens to be a little bit easier for me, as well as being able to go through and pick a fleece that has tremendous amount of uniformity and quality from one end to the other. This will be entry number 955, will be our champion market fleece, extremely nice fleece. Those of you that are on the camera here, you can see what kind of character this fleece has. Nice, heavy, stout fleece that goes through and has some real nice density to that fleece and a lot of nice character. So again, that'll be our champion. Reserve will end up going on a lot lighter fleece. It's a little flatter character fleece, doesn't have quite the crimp and style to it that we see in our champion. But again, two excellent fleeces that again are highly deserving. Congratulations. What a pleasure to go ahead and judge the natural colors. And again, I grabbed 3 of my favorites. And I know I only needed to name 2, but there were 3 favorites that I went through and I found, and I actually left one back that was very similar to this one that I had considered, and I kind of prejudged them while I was over there to go ahead and bring back the 3 that, again, if you happen to be interested in the sale, please consider these 3. I think that they're of extreme quality. They're of ones that I could honestly tell you is that you're not going to be disappointed when you pick up your fleeces. There's so much uniformity and excitement to each one of these fleeces that you're going to go ahead and say, wow, you know, people really brought their A game to the show so that they could go through and present some of their best. And again, I think that that really does kind of exemplify these 3 fleeces that I brought out today. And again, it goes down to always, when it comes to naming a grand champion or a champion of any species, be it, you know, livestock or whatever, is there's a personal preference of what people like. And as a breeder of livestock, I constantly am trying to improve fleece quality in my Monterey sheep. I know, like in the case of our Suffolk sheep, you know, we want the absence of black fiber, which again, we've done a really great job of that, but at the same time having, you know, high caliber livestock that again have great bodies, along with having fleece quality that any buyer would be interested in, because as we go through and we fit them, if they've got crappy fleeces, it's pretty hard to go ahead and get them where that they look like velvet and smooth. So again, we go through and we do try to go through and make sure that the fleece quality is as good as we can get it, along with having a body that's marketable, and of course, you know, having production related type of things that make them grow and get big, and at the same time be efficient gainers. So again, this is a little bit different. We're looking specifically in fleece quality. We're looking at, again, the caliber of fiber that's being presented here, and at the same time the high quality of presentation that each of these exhibitors have gone through and done to bring it to the highest level. I think the fleeces that really kind of come down to it is there's been 2 that I talked about in class and went through and had some eye appeal and some pop things that left, again, lasting impressions. This is going to be our champion right here. It's not the biggest, and I think it's the best. And I think that's where, again, sometimes when you're looking for quality rather than quantity, you go through and you find that this here is one that really brings a lot of that. I think, again, just some of the distinct color variations and the uniformity of those colors, the brightness, the pop. This really is a fleece that goes through and brings a ton of great things to the table for me. And so that, again, would be entry 973 is going to be our champion, and I think that's coming out of the fine division. Yes. Probably the one that is going to get left behind is going to be something that you'd wear probably in a coarse sweater, and that, of course, is going to be, this is going to be my third best. So that means we go through and we have another one that's got all that pop and eye appeal, uniformity, and excitement about it. We talk about, again, how beautiful of a fleece this is to go ahead and take a look at. Again, I commend the exhibitor in going through and putting a beautiful presentation together. It's like a fancy bouquet of fleece here. And again, when we go through and we look at, again, the uniformity of fiber and looking at the beautiful variegant to this is, again, a beautiful fleece that goes through and has a tremendous amount of quality. Again, congratulations.
Okay,
What number is it?
383.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
3 beautiful fleeces to go ahead and buy for our Supreme Champion fleece of our Monterey County Fair Wool Festival. And again, my heart goes out to the community and the committee that has gone through and kept this running for so many years. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of determination, and again, with today's kind of problems that we've had to go through and work through, you've had people that have fought for you. And those people need to go ahead and be commended and appreciated, for their time, efforts, and drivenness that they have in them to make sure that this happens. Your tradition of having one of the top wool shows in the nation is exemplary. And for you to go ahead and not have something of this caliber that you continue to go ahead and strive with would have been a shame. And we've seen so many things taken away from us through the last few months that, again, it would have been a sad tradition that many times we can't outlive. And so when we find that sometimes that forefathers that have gone through and put so much time and heart and ache into making something happen, and then you don't do it once, sometimes it goes away. And so I'm going to tell you is that from the bottom of my heart that I appreciate tradition. And it's nice to come and be able to go ahead and give my evaluation. It's just one guy's opinion. But again, I think more than anything is that the tradition continues for so many folks that have gone through and make this a true livelihood. And so I want to go ahead and thank all the people that have helped me the last couple days. I really, really, really appreciate your time and efforts. But again, I know there's people behind the scenes that I hope that have the opportunity to go ahead and see this either live or in the case of being taped, that you're appreciated. And your tradition continues. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to go through and come sort your fleeces. I think, again, one thing that, again, I've kind of mentioned it throughout the day is that there's a personal opinion and there's things that seem to rise to the top in so many cases. And I think that those are things that I continue to go ahead and work through my mind. And I'll tell you is that when I leave here today and I go home, there will be fleeces that are going to be etched into my memory. And they're going to be ones that I will remember forever. And the reason is that the quality was that good. I think, again, the timing of everything, you want to go ahead and be a part of anything that maybe was part of a bad year, which we're all hoping for 2021 to come sooner than later. But more than anything, the quality that you folks have brought to the table will be etched in my memory forever. And I appreciate being able to go through and sort that. And again, be it if we happen to have the coarser wools with all the extra character, buyers need to be aware if that's the kind you like, buy it. Don't regret saying, gee, for another $1, I could have had that. Don't regret it. Buy it. These are the times that we go through and we think about it is that, gee, I probably don't need that donut, but I'm going to buy it anyway. Okay? Do it, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. This is a gorgeous fleece. And when you go through and you look at that character, it's really, really nice. If you're into the variegated fleeces and you want all that extra pop, you certainly have it in this particular fleece. And it's fine and it's soft. It's beautiful. And when you go through it and you look at the ultra-fine fleece, can you not deny the amount of staple length and the fineness and softness that's relative to this fleece? I think, again, you go through and you look at 3 fleeces, you go through and you look at one person's opinion. This is our grand champion today. Congratulations. This would be
131.
131.
George Saunders. Congratulations, George. He's a gentleman in his 80s. This has been,
He's dang near 90. He's still surfing, by the way.
it's over.
And he surfs all the time.
Okay. I'm jumping the time.
Well, George, if you're looking, congratulations. You're very deserving. I hope that that you're proud of what I accomplished. I miss seeing you. I know I got a chance to see you at Mid-State Fair last year. And again, congratulations on your quality fleece.
Okay, and the reserve grand champion?
Okay, we're going to bring this one up.
Okay, I'm thinking of that.
Adding in our other fine wool when coming from our merino class, again, when we go through and we look at the fleeces in comparison, we're not disappointed. And as we go through and look at the amount of density and at the same time ultra fineness of a merino, we find the character being exceptional, you know, to the breed, one that's definitely a breed building type of fleece caliber. I think, again, makes it really tough when you go through and we talk about some character fleeces and the beautiful variegated natural colored, and then we bring in another fine, and again, the person goes through and is going to probably lean on me that I like certain kinds of fleeces. Well, I'm going to go through and I'm going to use this other fine. This will be our Reserve Grand. Congratulations on our merino fleece being Reserve Grand.
And that number is
805.
805.
And that's Cherry Mendenhall, for anybody that's interested.
In the same division.
Okay. All right. I think that.
Is that a wrap?
Pretty much it. That's all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.